Welcome back to the Manosphere Paradigm, the channel where we learn to level up health, wealth, relationships, and hobbies. Today, I want to talk about none other than the infamous, the notorious, the top G. That's Andrew Tate. He's been banned off so many social media platforms, but one thing I want to definitely give a shout out to is, or at least a platform or channel I want to shout out, is the guys at Value Entertainment Podcast. These guys have been fearless, and I want to commend them for having an interview with Andrew Tate. I believe they had this interview out in Spain, in Madrid, and it was a very informative discussion that they had. I think it was like a 4 hour conversation or something like that. But the fact that they basically met with Andrew Tate, had a discussion with him, got his side of the story, was very insightful and also very eye opening as to what exactly transpired, because there's always an alternative type of narrative that's being spun as to who the guy is, what his history is. And what we've learned in the manosphere is not to obviously listen to what's happening in the mainstream, to go and do your independent research. I mean, that's just being responsible in going out and listening to, checking out the facts and making and basing your decision on those facts, and not on what the narrative is and consensus is on what everyone else got to say. One of the things that a guy called Thomas Sowell, you've probably seen him on YouTube being suggested to you by the algorithm. He's a very well-spoken and very intelligent man. I came to see and learn about him when it came to a lot of the videos talking about history and so on. And he says that you need to be wary about people that's got preconceived and pre-arranged narratives for you to follow, and ideologies for you to subscribe to and basically follow. Understand there's always an agenda that's being someone is always has an agenda as to what they want out of you and want you to believe, and you need to be aware of that. So in this interview, I'm going to start off. We can check out Andrew Tate having a discussion with I believe it is Peter, yes, and Adam. Why can't I remember their names now? But okay, I'm going to just play it, and we'll have it. We'll react. I'll react to what they've got to say, and where Andrew basically characterizes as to how, or at least explain how it's been characterized, how is be what the narrative is, and also just going through how we need to understand that there is people trying to have you think a certain way, and you need to think for yourself. So let's get stuck into it.
If there were betting odds, like if we did a poll, why do you think Andrew Tate was banned from all the social media platforms? And it was misogyny, right? COVID stuff, against the government, against system. If you were a betting man, where would you kind of place the odds?
Oh, I already know. Everybody already knows I was banned because I talked against the system, against the matrix. They
Just
know
the system in general.
The system in general, yeah. I mean, someone compared me to Socrates, which is a compliment, but he was vilified. He ended up poisoning himself in Athens, and the charge against him was corrupting the youth. If you read about his poisoning and his arrest, they said he was corrupting the youth, but he wasn't corrupting them. He was inspiring them to challenge authority. He was inspiring them to think for themselves. When they were told something, instead of blindly complying, he said, look, analyze who these people are who are telling you to do X.
Yeah. For me, that is very well, very good advice to follow. This time, when it came to the Kofefe, we were told to follow a specific way. We were told this is the right way. And if you had anything else to say, or you spoke up against it, there's a lot of people that was vilified. A lot of people ran the risk of losing their jobs. If we look back to where we are now, and when we look 2 years ago, 1 year ago, people was on the verge, or some people has actually lost their jobs, their livelihoods, because they weren't going to be taking any type of inoculation or some type of stab in their arm to be able to hold on to those jobs. You have a choice, but you need to get the stab. There's not much of a choice if you need to feed your family. So what he is saying is we need to, and that is a lot of times when it comes to men, we are always the ones that will think about something, critically think about it, analyze it, and ask ourselves, is this really the truth of what we're being told? Is this good for me? And that is where the power structures at times would find it difficult to basically persuade men to follow certain things if they believe that it's not conducive or it's not a positive, a net positive for them.
And I even had a tweet I put out on my. I've been banned on Twitter forever, so I've been through 20 Twitter bans. I come back as undercover, whatever. But I've been saying I said often, if you have a point of view that you are very strong in your adherence to, if you truly believe something, you need to sit and analyze whether it's your own personal experience that makes you believe something, or if someone else or something else has convinced you of this.
That's exactly what I said earlier. You need to understand the facts. Do not listen to what everyone else is telling you. Do not listen. When it comes to the manosphere, we obviously make the comparison between and use the movie of The Matrix as a reference so that people can understand what we're talking about. The Matrix has its own interest and has a way of doing things, and there are certain narratives, like I said, it wants you to follow because it is for the betterment, or at least the conducive for the Matrix to continue. So you just believing those things, and following things blindly, you are just adding to the Matrix and strengthening it. But if you start unplugging and understanding certain RP and RP truths, and becoming RP aware, you are starting to become a problem for the Matrix. At the fact that you are thinking for yourself, you are reviewing and looking at the facts, and based on those facts, not your feelings, based on that facts, you are basing on your decision on what you need to do moving forward. So men thinking for themselves and not just following narratives and following certain ideologies and instructions given to us blindly are very dangerous. Why? Because we think for ourselves.
And if they have, you need to then once again analyze that point of view and analyze who these people are and what they want from you. Do they truly want the best of you? If the news convinces you of something to the point where you're going to argue with your own family members at a dinner table, does the news really care about you more than your family? This is a genuine question. You need to analyze every belief you hold.
That is something that has happened when, like I said, when you analyze the facts and you go and collect and research the facts and you communicate that to others, there's a lot of people are still plugged in and they have a certain way of thinking. And when you oppose those beliefs, or you are questioning those beliefs, you are questioning certain things, and you present them with the facts, they are so emotionally invested in that belief system or that feeling of believing they were correct. Now that you are presenting them the facts, they feel they feel offended. And I have lost friends over the last couple of years where I presented them with facts and they blatantly just said what I am saying makes no sense. And without even wanting to have a honest discussion, they basically cut me off. They cut me off, and whether they unfollow me on Instagram, whether they unfriend me on Facebook, whatever the case may be, this is what's going to happen when you are starting to understand what is the truth and what is certain narratives that are being pushed and how much you've bought into certain things. You're going to start disconnecting from people because they are committed to being plugged in. And like the previous video, I'll put that live stream that I did about Cypher. He's a classic character within the Matrix. He was so fed up with living within the real world and having to eat the slop that they had to eat on the Nebuchadnezzar. He was sick and tired of it, and he did not see himself living any longer in the real world. And he made a deal with the agent to go back to the Matrix, enjoy his life, be rich and famous, and just get plugged in because he just wants to live in a dream world. That is going to happen. Some people cannot be unplugged, and you need to have the wisdom to understand those people and identify certain people that's open in wanting to know and learn new information, and then understanding certain people that is just not ready for it and most likely won't be ready for it ever.
where it came from, and then analyze what their intentions are. And if you start to do that, you look at something like COVID, for example, it's an easy one. You look at all the bullshit they were saying, and you sit here and go, wait, these people don't care about me. If I had diabetes or I needed insulin, or if I had cancer, or if I got in a car crash, anything, they'd be hitting me with medical bills I could never possibly afford. They'd let me die. But they are insisting I take this shot for free on repeat. This doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So there's certain, when it comes to, I mean, when anyone that doesn't have health insurance, if you are needing a specific surgery, you need a specific drug that it's expensive, I mean, you will not find an insurance company that will come running to you to offer that thing to you for free for you to take so that you can be better. Yet we had the entire world, governments giving you and pharmaceutical companies forcing you to take this drug. And when it comes to the long-term effects, the verdict is still out about that.
And when you encourage people to think for themselves, especially the youth, that's what Socrates got accused of. He's corrupting the youth. And to be honest with you, a huge portion of my fan base were 18 to 23, 24-year-old males. When you have the youth, the masculine youth of the world, thinking for themselves, that's pretty scary to authority. Because it's the masculine youth of the world that is, one, the revolutionaries, and two, also, that's the backbone of the slave force.
Exactly. So the manosphere has proven it over and over. And as Andrew Tate has just articulated, once men understand their value, they understand how they've been taken for a ride by the system, they understand how them basically breaking their backs and investing and keeping the system going as long as it did. It is a threat when men, especially the young men, start waking up and looking at a character like Andrew Tate, who is a well put together masculine guy. Think of him what you want. Drop me a comment and tell me what you believe, whatever allegations you believe. I mean, I think if you go check out the entire 4-hour live stream, he explains exactly all the allegations that's been made against him. But nonetheless, you have young boys looking at a guy like Andrew Tate. And when you look at the single parent percentages in the westernized world, there's a lot of young men that does not have that guidance and have that masculine input in their lives. So when a character like Andrew Tate comes along, they look up to him, they want to emulate him, and that basically scares a lot of people because, I mean, there's young boys that, unfortunately, with the unbridled exuberance and enthusiasm of youth, they do stupid things, and they do not understand the filter of how much he's trolling when it comes to certain things, and how much he's obviously more serious when it comes to certain topics. But nonetheless, these young boys are a threat because they are now unplugging from the mentality of, I need to have this life of this beautiful white picket fence. Now, if that's a life you want, great, go for it. At the end of the day, a lot of young men is understanding they need to put in the work to become valuable in today's marketplace, and they're not going to be just being able to demand to have a particular type of woman, a type of caliber of woman in his life if he doesn't have himself together. And they're looking at Tate and seeing that I need to put in this work. We've got the manosphere explaining to the men, if you want to be seen by 80% of the women, you need to become and increase your value when it comes to staying in your getting on your purpose, making sure your fitness is right, making sure your grooming is right, making sure you understand game, understand the world, and you educate yourself day in and day out, become better, become more well-informed, and to become more basically the complete package. You will be ice cold as the guys call it in the manosphere. You will become cold AF, and you will then obviously become the guy that is sought after, and the more you put yourself out there, you are definitely going to be noticed. So the more young men look at Andrew Tate, see what he's about, want to emulate that is a concern, because the slave mentality that he always tells men to let go of, they are doing so and they're following his example, and that's extremely concerning to the powers that be, because what do they want? They want slaves to believe and put women on a pedestal to constantly believe that they are inferior and want to be subs. And that world has happened and has played itself out for the last decades. But the tide is turning. As Kevin Samuels, may soul rest in peace. Winter is coming. Winter has arrived. Winter is here. And a lot of ladies, unfortunately, they are feeling the cold because why? There's a lot of guys that and young men that is understanding their worth, and they are lifting up their standards and not just allowing and going for anything, and that's creating a bit of a pushback when it comes to the world of Sims. There will always be Sims, yes, but when it comes to the men unplugging and understanding and waking up, more and more men, especially young ones, are doing it. So let's get back in the video and check out the last of his comments.
If you need people to go die in a ditch in Afghanistan, you need them. If you need people to work bullshit jobs in a coal mine with no health care, you need them. If you need people to blindly comply to bullshit, you need them more than anybody, more than you need the feminists and the fucking the liberals. You need the real men to go out there and comply with the bullshit, to live a shitty existence, to purport and prop up a system.
The warrior class.
Let me just say, I'm hear what Adam's got to say.
The warrior class, right?
The warrior class. And what does he mean by that? I made another video, and I'll put that in the end card, about the Ukraine war. As soon as the war broke out and Russia invaded, the first thing Zelensky did was to ban all the 18 to 60-year-old men from leaving the country. Why? Because the burden of performance is on men, and they are the ones that's having to put their lives on the line, not the feminists that in 2018 or 2019 got some rights when it came to the army and them being part of the army, but them not being placed on the front line. The majority of men that's on the front line is still men. There is some women, shout out to them. But we talk about the guys when war breaks out, men are the ones that's expected to basically put their lives on the line, and they are willing to do so. Why? Because they want to protect their women and children. But as soon as there's peace, unfortunately, what happens is they fall for all the type of womanism type of things that comes through and start giving up some of the power that they've worked so hard for and put their lives on the lines for. So that is what they are talking about.
And if enough of these men stand in one place and say this is enough, that's when a revolution happens. Yeah. So this is the most dangerous group of the demographic that the Matrix and the people are trying to control, and they have to have a narrative over. And that's why they're trying to weaken them in every regard. Yeah. And when I'm sitting there saying, don't listen to the bullshit, become physically strong, think for yourself, prioritize your brotherhood above what the fucking Matrix is telling you, do not blindly comply, resist the slave mind, all these things I'm saying, they just sat there one day and said, wait, the most popular person on the planet is saying, don't listen to our bullshit. Delete.
If you enjoyed this video and you want to...
Exactly. When it comes to Andrew, he is very polarizing, and he knows exactly the way he talks. He talks about someone that has gone through some things, and he's a guy that has proven himself 4 times over when it comes to being a world kickboxing champion. He talks about things that he had to go through. If you go check out him and his brother on this what is it, this deserted island or some shows that they've done in the past, they were definitely brought up very strongly by their dad, and that comes through in the way they conduct themselves. But when we as men wake up and we basically conduct ourselves in a way that is not conducive for the system to continually purport the narrative that they want, it becomes a threat. And when a guy that has the receipts, we as men, we respect men that has receipts. What is receipts? Men that has tried and tested, that has the results, has the physique, has the status, has the wealth. If it was some other dude saying this, no one would have listened to him, because he wouldn't have had those achievements or accolades or status. But because it's a guy like Andrew Tate, you can't deny him. Because why? He has all of those things, and he's someone that guys will look up to automatically, because we look at a man based on his achievements. So I wanted to have a look at this discussion. Again, shout out to the Value Pod guys. I wanted to just say, they had the balls to, after this ban that Andrew has been banned, to meet up with him, find out his side of the story, and basically go out and broadcast this to the world so that everyone can understand and make up their mind for themselves, like they said. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm going to be doing some more of this of the reactions when it comes to this interview that they had with him, with Andrew Tate, and I'll definitely delve into deeper some topics that I highlight within this discussion. So hit the like button, subscribe button, and don't forget that notification bell, guys, so that you can be informed of content. Keep on watching, keep on enjoying this content that I'm pushing through, and let me know in the comments what you think about the video. What do you think about my presentation style? Any comment that you can give, constructive criticism, I would enjoy and appreciate. So I thank you, and I'll see you in the next vid. Cheers. I'm out.